Recording in progress.
Testing. Check. We're good? Okay, it's a good thing we cleared up our audio problem. We have a very important discussion to have today. It's a litigation update for litigation that's been going on for 2 decades, beach driving litigation. And I think that what I would like to do is I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Stephen Stern, our special counsel who's been handling this litigation for the trustees, to give us a presentation for the board and for the public. The beach driving is a tradition, historical tradition that many people have enjoyed in this town for a very, very long time, and very important discussion. So, Steve, thank you for joining us today.
Of course. So what I'm going to talk about today represents the culmination, really, of 20 years of litigation, about 9 years of which I've been involved in. And the present posture of the litigation is that there's 2 lawsuits. One lawsuit involves 3 of the 9. I'm sorry.
Is your mic on? Just double check.
There you go.
How's that?
Yeah,
Oh, that
thank
sounds
you.
better. Okay. So it involves the parking and driving in the picnic area by the Shinnecock Inlet. And over the course of these the 20 years of litigation with one lawsuit and about 9 years of litigation with the other lawsuit, we've had a lot of victories along the way, but the cases were heading to trial. And while during the course of litigation, both of the cases have been up to the Second Department and back with the right to drive and park on the easement preserved. The cases were still, well, one of them in particular was on the verge of going to trial before a judge who was going to decide the extent of the easement, the right to drive and park on in the picnic area. And so what we've been trying to do is come up with a reasonable solution where the public can still drive and park in the picnic area, as they've done, as I understand it, for generations, but also have some reasonable restrictions that I think would both be comfortable for the public as well as for the homeowners, because those properties are owned by the individuals who own the homes. They own that area of the beach, although the public has, as a result of the Dongan patent and all the history, a right to utilize that beach. There was always a question as to what the scope of that was, and that's part of what we've been litigating for so long. So for the past about 2 years, we've been in discussions both with the plaintiff's attorneys and the village. The parties to the cases are several of the homeowners, the village of Southampton, and the trustees of the freeholders. The idea was to come up with both a reasonable number of vehicles that could park on the beach during what we call the summer daytime driving hours, which is essentially from Memorial Day until September 15th, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., which is the times that the village regulation that allows or restricts parking to that area are in play. And what we did was we negotiated a reasonable number of vehicles, as well as a system for parking, or essentially kind of like a parking lot. We came up with a schematic, and I don't know if can the public that are viewing at home see the map?
Yes,
okay,
they can.
Great. So the way that we did this is actually, I think, a real benefit to the public, in the sense that on top of the existing Dongan patent easement, which is really the result of case law that goes back to the late 1800s, early 1900s, that interprets laws, and the interaction between laws that preceded that and the patent itself, that the plaintiffs in these cases have granted us an actual written easement or a going to in connection with the settlement. So rather than just settle a lawsuit and have a settlement agreement, there's going to be a filed document where the homeowners that were involved in the litigation are going to grant an easement to the public, not just to use the beaches, but to drive and park vehicles on the beaches, on the beach in the picnic area during the summer daytime driving hours, as long as it's subject to these reasonable restrictions that we've agreed to. So what I'm going to do is kind of go through what these restrictions are. But just so, for a frame of reference, the allegations in the lawsuit really were that the amount, not just the amount of vehicles at certain times, and generally we're talking about on weekends and holidays during the summer daytime driving hours, that the number of vehicles were excessive, and also it was chaotic because there were times where there were 4 and 5 vehicles deep, and some were parked parallel to the shore, some were parked perpendicular to the shore. So with this easement, we resolved the litigation, both of the lawsuits. Like I said, one of them has been going on since 2005, one has been going on since 2016. So the restrictions are there will be a maximum count of 136 vehicles on the beach. And we're going to go through where the vehicles can park, and the map that we're showing is actually showing more than 136, but the maximum that we can have in any, altogether on the approximately 2,000 feet of beach is 136 vehicles. So the parking areas are restricted so that there will be an area in front of each of the walkways that lead to the property owners' homes, so that there's no parking during the summer daytime driving hours in those areas that open from their walkways to the beach. So I'll go through them. Between Road G and 217, I can't really see. Let me look over here. Well, let's start all the way to the west. The blues and the reds represent vehicles. The white spaces between the blues and the reds represent a buffer between each of the vehicles. So west of 2170 Meadow Lane, we're allowed 22 vehicles in that area, parked 2 rows deep. But there is a restriction from time to time, there's not a wide enough beach to have 2 vehicles. So the village will make a determination whether or not, if there's beach erosion, that only one row can park in a certain there can be only 1 row of vehicles in a certain area, or no vehicles if, of course, you don't have sufficient beach for parking there. So that area west of 2170 allows up to 22 vehicles. Then just immediately east of that, there's a 160-foot buffer. So there's no parking during the summer daytime driving hours allowed there, so as to allow for access to those homes. Immediately on the map to the right of there's an area for 22 cars, 11 in each row. Then there's another opening, no parking area of 160 feet. Then you have 48 cars. Center of the diagram there, it's 24, 2 rows deep. Then we have another 160-foot buffer. And those 160-foot buffers cover 2 homes. So you can see the walkways from 2 different homes that lead into that. Then we have a parking area for 30 vehicles. Again, 2 rows, a 170-foot buffer, then a 10-car parking area, an 80-foot buffer for 1 walkway, and then a 26 vehicle parking area. And that covers the easement, that covers the entire picnic area. Now, there are certain buffer areas in order to allow both for protection, environmental protections, and for an orderly movement of vehicles around the parking areas. So first I'm going to talk about what they call the dune buffer area. So except for the access points where the vehicles will drive on from roads F, G, and Jim Airy Way, the length of the northern portion of the beach area is designated a dune buffer area. So obviously, protecting the dunes, you're not supposed to be driving on the dunes. There's a 20-foot buffer area to make sure that nobody gets too close to the dunes and causes any issues there. Then, James, you're pointing to that, right?
Yeah.
My eyes are a little. Okay, great. So that's at the top there. Then there's going to be a driving area that we call the roadway area in the agreement. And that's a 20-foot wide roadway area in which vehicles may drive but not park in that area. Okay, then we have, now south, there's an ocean buffer area. So again, this is all for during those summer daytime driving hours. There's a buffer of 20 feet, 20 feet northerly of the mean high water mark. So the village is going to have somebody monitoring this situation. They're going to make a determination as to what the mean high water mark is. There's going to be a 20-foot buffer. You can't get closer than that when you park the vehicles. I talked already about what they call the beach path no parking areas. That's for access to the homes. And I talked about the parking areas. Obviously, this is going to be subject to environmental conditions. As I said before, erosional conditions may temporarily, we may have to modify this to meet the environmental conditions, either from erosion or obviously protected species such as the piping plovers. Okay, so between the vehicles, there's a 10-foot separation. So those white spaces between each of the red or blue areas, you need to keep 10 feet between the vehicles, and the two rows, let me see. All of the vehicles need to park perpendicular to the shore in the way shown in that diagram. So there's no parallel parking there, and that way we'll keep everything, or the village will keep everything neat and orderly in that respect. Like I said, the village is going to be responsible for enforcement. There are several elements to that. One is that a village employee or its designee, at a minimum on Saturdays, Sundays, and legal holidays during the summer daytime driving hours, will monitor and enforce these regulations in terms of the overall number of vehicles, the location, and the manner in which they park. Also, there'll be some, it may be the same or it may be in addition, some reasonable policing or law enforcement presence in order to enforce these regulations. The village will post signage. There's an agreement within this that this beach will be cleaned and groomed by the village at its expense, similar to the way that it cleans and grooms other beaches within the village. The village will also place appropriate signage that will identify the areas that are laid out in this schematic here. This isn't going to change anything in terms of the rights of the public under the historic Dongan Patent easement. It really doesn't apply to off-season driving and parking. This is really just and that's what the lawsuits were about, the summer daytime driving hours just specifically for the picnic area to maintain order and a reasonable restriction on the number of vehicles. I think if there are no questions, or if President Horowitz, if you think that I missed anything, I'm happy to
I would just say that, I'd like to thank you, first of all, for working so diligently on this. When you are trying to sensibly manage a shared resource, it becomes difficult at times. And, that's what we were trying to do here, pay attention to the environmental concerns as we have to. Obviously, public safety is very important to us all. And sitting as a trustee, preserving the historical and traditional uses of our beaches and, what we do here, especially in this area, because you're talking about the salt of the community that goes there. These are the people that make things go and keep things running throughout our town. And you want them to be able to go there in the summertime during the daytime and enjoy the picnic and enjoy their families and maintain those traditions. And obviously, we want everybody to be safe and of course, be environmentally sensitive to that. In those areas that you can't park, you could still have other activities to enjoy. And there's got to be places for people to, play some ball or do whatever it is that they're going to do on those beaches and spread out and enjoy themselves. And I think that it's a good thing when we're locking in easements on top of easements so that you don't have this coming back and future challenges. I mean, been sitting as a trustee for a long time, and I've lived in the town for over half a century, and things have changed and times have changed. And I think when you can lock down and preserve things that are like so important and traditional historically, things that we all enjoyed that you want future generations to enjoy, I think it's good. It's a good thing that we've been able to do this. And there have been a lot of challenges in my tenure on this board. There's been a tremendous amount of challenges to keep that thing running. And I just I just hope that the public respects that and that we can just go and have a good season and a good time this season and for seasons to come, and only have to be wrestling with birds, okay, as opposed to legal challenges. They're part of nature as well. So I want to say thank you. I know there's been a tremendous amount of times that we've spent on the phone, the board and yourself and your firm, all of your assistants. It's been a tremendous amount of professionalism. I went through several rounds of the mediation process through this. I know Trustee Warner has spent a lot of time on this. Some of us folks that have been on the board for a longer period of time to oversee this. And I see that I do have the mayor of the beach here, Mr. Adam Chesky, Mr. Franny Adam Chesky. And I don't know if you want to say a few words or you have a question. I respect your commentary through this as well.
Ask a question before we.
Do I? Is there?
Yeah,
Sure.
I just want for the public's clarification. The fact that it's an easement means it will run in perpetuity with successive owners. It can't be ignored without penalty of being enforced by the court. So we have protection. In fact, we're probably in better shape now than we were before.
Yeah, this actually is a recognition by those property owners that were challenging the use of the Dongan Patent easement to drive on the beach. They've now acknowledged or permitted the driving and parking on the beach in a document that will be filed and runs in perpetuity with their properties. They're in the process of trying to get other property owners there to sign off on them, but with respect to those properties, this will be a filed document that binds them.
The public should rest assured that these rights will not be extinguished.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at what happened in East Hampton and their loss of their rights as far as beach access and beach use. I would consider this a good victory for the town of Southampton and for the people of the town of Southampton that use these beaches. So I want to thank you for your hard work and dedication to this cause. I think
Thank you. I appreciate
it's a
that.
success.
We, on that note, one of the two litigations did go up to the second department, and the arguments by the other side were that this is the same or similar to East Hampton, and we were able to distinguish that. And then the case got sent back down for trial. Again, that didn't put an end to it, but we were able to get a ruling that distinguished it from East Hampton, which I think allowed everybody to kind of come together and come up with a reasonable solution here.
Shared resources, right?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Can we sign in?
sure. Not like everybody in town doesn't know who you are, but we'll take your autograph.
Here we are. Fran Adamczewski here. First, I just want to thank all of you trustees and everyone that works for the town and I guess part of the village to thank you for doing this. Thank you for coming up. Thank you especially. Thank the trustees. Thank God this is over. A long time. Long time. All I have to say is maybe with your graphics up on the TV, maybe when people come in to get their four-wheel drive permits, to maybe give them a piece of paper to, like the layouts, because a lot of people aren't going to realize that once they go down there, they're going to go and park wherever they want to park, even though I don't know if the village is going to put up signs, you said,
Well,
between no
when you
parking.
apply for your village permit, like to get your village permit, that you now have to pay,
Right, 25
be
bucks,
accessible there as well. That would be good.
right.
Yeah,
I
It's
just-
it's a great
It's a good
suggestion.
point, yeah.
It's a great
You know,
suggestion.
maybe
That way
when you
people
get your
know.
permit, you can hand them a piece of paper saying this is the layout, this is what it's all about, 136.
Right.
That way, nobody's going to be like, what? What's going
Right.
on?
And it's
I'm gonna
been,
ask the village to also.
I
print these
will
out
go
and
to
hand
the
them to
village and
everyone.
I will,
and it's been an excellent partnership and collaboration with the village board as well in really respecting the rights, and the traditions of the people to get this resolved, because as we're aware, the regulation responsibilities are gonna fall within within the village boundaries. So everybody's on board to have a good time with the shared resource from every perspective. And that's a great suggestion. Thank you.
yeah, that's about it. Just thank you and thank God it's over, I guess.
Yes.
Hopefully.
I concur.
Hopefully, knock on wood.
Let's just deal with birds.
Let's not. Anyway, thank you so much again
Thank you, Fran.
and
Thank you.
keep going.
We will.
Thanks for all your hard work. Thank you.
Thank
Our
you.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody on Zoom?
On Zoom.
Nope. Anybody else have anything to say on this discussion point? Anything more from Mr. Stern?
It's been a pleasure working with you.
I believe there's a resolution for me to sign an agreement as we move through our agenda here today to officially cap this off, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I will close this discussion point and we will move on with our meeting. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Unless you want to take that out of order.
Just take it out of order.
Let's take it Want to take it out of order? So I'm going to make a motion to take that
Motion to take the
out of order.
out of order.
Second.
So, second, all in favor?
All right.
I'm going to 2025-107. This is a resolution authorizing the settlement of court actions, Johnson et al. Versus the trustees, and Thomas versus the trustees. Resolved that the president is hereby authorized to sign any and all documents necessary to settle and discontinue the following actions pending in the Supreme Court in Suffolk County, the Johnson and the Thomas cases.
I will second that gladly.
Seconded by trustee Warner. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. I will be signing this agreement ASAP. Put it to bed. So thank you, everybody, for their hard work.
Again, Steve, thank you for your hard work and your diligent hard work, because it was a long, road to go. But, and now we got it signed, and the public can now use it without any issues.
And it's police.
And quite frankly, I'm looking forward to the first picnic that we have down there now. Okay? That's what I'm looking forward to. All right? Let's make it a great one. Okay.
We'll need Steve for anything else, right? You can.
I think I'm good with Steve. I think Steve can charge his car and trudge his way through the puddles, try not to get electrocuted.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, so we have some applications for permits that we have.
Public session, is anybody?
Oh, yeah, public session. I'm getting ahead of myself. Is there anybody that would like to address the board here in the room on public session? Ma'am, you're good? How about Zoom? Is anybody on Zoom that wants to have 3 minutes to address any issue with the trustees? Put your hand up.
No one on Zoom.
Thank you. Now I'll move with the applications of permits. Let me just do this here first, and we'll talk about that. The first one, I got trustee resolution 2025-91. It's a first renewal. Ernest H. Spellman, 10 Hyler Drive, Hampton Bays, tax map 900-255-1-37. I recommend its renewal.
Second.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye.
I've got trustee resolution 2025-92. It's the application for Stephanie Cardacy at 2 Dolphin Lane in East Quogue, tax map 900-384-1-43. Recommend its approval.
Second.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2025-93, applications for the town of Southampton, 29 Lighthouse Road, Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-374-2-21, Body of Water, Shinnecock Bay. We worked on this at work session. I recommend its approval.
Second.
Seconded, trustees McLaughlin and Parsons, all in favor?
Trustee Resolution 2025-94, first modification application of 8 Squared Holly Lane at 64 Holly Lane, Watermill, tax map number 900-160-2-14 in the body of water, Mill Creek. Spoke at that December
Second.
session.
Seconded by trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2025-95. This is the first renewal application of Crystal Beal, 44 Cobb Isle Road, Watermill, New York. Tax map number 900-160-3-9. This is body of water, Mecox Bay. Could I get a second?
Second.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye.
First resolution 2025-96 is the application of Harley Rosen at 24 Lincoln Lane, Shinnecock Hills. Tax at 900-211-4-48. This was discussed during work session. Can I have a second?
Second.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Trustee resolution.
Oh, I think it's me.
That was Mr. Parsons.
Sorry.
Trustee Resolution 2025-97, application of Paul Chapman at 332 Dune Road, Village of West Hampton Beach, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map number 905-18-1-16 on Moriches Bay. Can I get a second for this, please?
Second.
Seconded, trustee McLaughlin, all in favor?
Aye. I'll have Trustee Resolution 2025-98. First renewal application of Fisher Organization LLC at 326 Royal Avenue in Flanders, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-123-1-68 on Reeves Bay. Can I have a second for this, please?
Second, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Trustee Resolution 2025-99, recall and amend Resolution 2025, trustee for -35 for tide charts.
Second.
Seconded, trustee McLaughlin, all in favor?
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2025-100 is the resolution authorizing the president to sign a letter of permission for Long Pond and Little Long Pond Lake Management Plan.
Quick question, do they have access to the newly installed gate if they need to get a boat in there?
The last correspondence I had is he's actually gonna have like a little walk behind dink that he can just pull
Okay,
without a truck, but he will contact marine maintenance if he does need access.
okay,
Marine patrol, sorry.
okay, well, thank you, I'll second it.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I've got trustee resolution 2025-101, authorize the president to sign a contract with InterScience to provide environmental and permitting services.
Second on that?
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye.
Authorizing the president to sign permit applications for Silverbrook Canal dredging.
Second on that?
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Trustee McLaughlin,
Oh, sorry,
103.
103.
Sorry. Okay, just hold.
That's resolution 103. This is authorization of town pond dredging. Can I have a second?
Second on that?
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye. Trustee resolution 2025-104, notice of public hearing for Joseph Scrow, 145 Lynn Avenue, Hampton Bay, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-30-01-28, body of water, Shinnecock Bay.
Second.
To set a public hearing.
Set a public hearing, May 5th, 2025 at 1 PM at Southampton Town Hall. So I recommend that you approve it. I need a second.
Second.
Seconded, trustee McLaughlin, all in favor?
Aye. Trustee resolution 2025-105. This is a resolution authorizing the president to sign a letter of authorizing granting permission to engage in Phragmites removal with Long Island native species management area in Long Pond.
A second on that.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye.
Trustee resolution 2025-106, warrant number 5 for $184,995.38. I'm going to read the register. Law offices of Con and Con, $1,104. Cash and Associates, $564.44. East Isep Lumber Company, $3,958. Allen Financial Services, $2,975.70. Fisher Signs Insurance, LLC, $1,312.50. General Code LLC, $38.40. Quogue Sinclair Fuel Incorporated, $1,266.71. Riverhead Building Supply, $266.13. And the town of Southampton, $173,509.50 for a total of $184,995.38. I recommend its approval. I need a second.
I'll second that.
Seconded, trustee Parsons, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and the last one we did, we do not have any walk-ons. I think we have exhausted our executive sessions for today. You know, that's special counsel if he feels the same way. Absolutely. Okay, so we're good with that. Is there any further discussions that we have necessary?
I would like to chat real quick about planting this floating wetland in Silverbrook Pond. I'm starting to kind of get my options. It seems like going with Princeton Hydro is just something we should talk about in executive.
The contract? We could do that. Contract?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you want to do that today?
Well, I don't necessarily want to use them.
Okay. So it's a contract situation, so do we need a quick executive session to discuss
would
this
be
contract?
executive
That
session,
probably makes the most sense.
Discuss what we're going to do, so
Contract.
that way we can put it out
All
to
right.
the public or not. put it
Anybody
out.
else? Because we're going to go into exec for a few minutes here to discuss this, because it's a contract.
Fine.
You go with that?
I second.
Second, okay, all right. So I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting, go into executive session, and we'll discuss your contract situation.
Second.
Seconded, trustee McLaughlin, all in favor?
Aye.
It's been a productive day. Have a great afternoon, everybody.